Little Red Riding Hood. "Where is she?" said Mrs. Dimple, standing in the kitchen with a basket full of delicious food. She looked out into the front garden and was unsurprised to see her daughter playing happily with the rabbits. "Darling," she called out, "come, Grandma is waiting." Isabel Dimple gave her rabbits one final cuddle and then skipped happily to the kitchen. She put her red coat on, the one with the hood, and fastened down the buttons. "Oh, snicky snacks," said Isabel, gazing hungrily into the basket. "And they are for Grandmother, not for you, Isabel." "Mummy," said Isabel, frowning, "please call me Little Red Riding Hood when I am wearing my favourite coat." "Why, of course, Little Red Riding Hood. Now, straight to Grandma's, no picking flowers, and no talking to strangers." "Yes, Mummy." "Did you hear me, Little Red Riding Hood?" "Yes, Mummy," she replied, but she wasn't listening. Little Red Riding Hood hadn't gone far when she heard a deep voice. "Well, hello there, Jelly Bean." It was Wolf, leaning up against a tree, holding a bag of sweets. "No, thank you," said Little Red Riding Hood. How quickly she had forgotten her promise to her mother about not talking to strangers. Being a regular chatterbox, Little Red Riding Hood kept on chatterboxing. "I'm off to see my grandmother with these snicky snacks. She's not very well, you know." "Oh dear, I didn't know," said the wolf, trying to look sad. "Sorry to hear that. Does she live far?" "No," replied Little Red Riding Hood. "Just across the wood, by the old mill." "Ah," said the wolf, "the old mill. I think I may know your grandmother. Does she live in a house?" "Why, yes, she does," said Little Red Riding Hood, very surprised. "Is it the one with a door? And some windows at the front?" "Why, yes, that's right. Number 35. Do you know it?" said Little Red Riding Hood. 35, you say? Oh, yes, I know it well," said the wolf with a smile. Of course, he didn't know her grandmother, but now he knew where she lived. That cunning beast. The wolf, not the grandmother. Little Red Riding Hood skipped off happily down the path. As soon as she was out of sight, the wolf raced straight to Grandmother's house because this wolf was hungry and he had a terrible plan. A few minutes later, Grandmother lay dozing in her bed when there was a knock at the door. "Who's there?" The wolf did his best little voice and said, "It is I, your favourite granddaughter. I have snicky snacks." "Come in, dear, it's open," said Grandmother. "Give it a jiggle and a push." Well, it all happened so quickly. The door flew open, and the wolf sprang on the poor old lady and ate her up in one go. I bet you weren't expecting that. Well, neither was she. The wolf quickly shut the door, climbed into Grandmother's bed, and waited for Little Red Riding Hood to arrive, which she did just a little while later. There was a knock on the door. "Who's there?" said the wolf in his best croaky grandmother voice. "It's me, Grandmother. I've brought snicky snacks. Shall I jiggle and push?" asked Little Red Riding Hood, who knew all about the sticky door. Yes, said the wolf. "Jiggle and push away." The wolf was mostly hidden under the covers, with only his head to be seen. "Grandmother," Little Red Riding Hood exclaimed, walking towards the bed. "What big eyes you have." "All the better to see you with, my dear," replied the wolf. "And what big ears you have." "All the better to hear you with, my child." "Grandmother, what big and surprisingly sharp teeth you have." "All the better to eat you up," cried the wolf, who leapt upon Little Red Riding Hood and did exactly that. No chewing, gone in one gulp. Yum, yum, yum. In case you were wondering, there was no woodcutter passing by to save Little Red Riding Hood or her grandmother, and so that was the end of them. What about that horrible, terrible wolf? Well, he might still live at number 35 by the old mill. You know, the one with the door and the windows. But he could be anywhere by now. And what about poor Mrs. Dimple, Little Red Riding Hood's wise mother? She lost her daughter and her mother that day, and all because a little girl didn't listen to some very good advice. I wonder if there's anything we can learn from this story.